from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for a tale. Not sure if you could say it's going to be tall, but it'd probably be long and pointless and full of meanders. You say, is it a tall tale? I say it's more like a swirly, one of those curly, what do they call them, swirly straws or curly straws? If they don't call them swirly straws, they really missed out. I would assume they do, because your drink swirls through them. My tall tales are swirly and whirly, and for some, they feel churly after listening, but it's time for Sleep With Me. Hopefully you won't feel that way. Also, FMI, for my information. Is churly a word? I mean, I felt churlish many a times, so oh boy. Even if it's not a word, I hope it's like, I feel like there's about 33% of the time I've got a churl going on. And when they see me walking down the street, they say, there's a churl in that boy's step. Anyway, it's time for Sleep With Me podcast. It puts you to sleep. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Helix Sleep. And I think it's time for you to take that Helix quiz. All you do is go to helixsleep.com/sleep. Take the quiz, and you'll get matched with a mattress that fits your sleep preferences, your sleep needs. What's going to help you get a good night's sleep? Because I can tell you from experience, I've spent all winter long snuggled in my Helix. I was so comfortable. I got to tell you, I love my Helix. And if you've been listening to this podcast on a regular basis, Helix is the sponsor we've had the longest relationship with, because everybody deserves a mattress that feels comfortable to them, that helps them sleep. And maybe that's you. I don't know. Does your mattress do that for you? Well, that's why we work with Helix, because the Helix quiz matches you with the perfect mattress based on your personal preferences and sleep needs. It makes buying a mattress easy. Helix is award-winning, the most awarded mattress brand, tested and reviewed by experts like Forbes and Wired. There's free shipping and seamless delivery. Helix delivers a mattress right to your door with free shipping in the U.S. And there's the Happy with Helix guarantee. Rest easy with seamless returns and exchanges. The Happy with Helix guarantee offers a risk-free, customer-first experience designed to ensure you're completely satisfied with your new mattress. So get over there. I don't know what you're waiting for, honestly. You deserve a new bed. And you deserve seeing what Helix has in store for you. So go to helixsleep.com/sleep to see the latest offers for Sleep With Me listeners. That's helixsleep.com/sleep. Make sure you enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody. All right, everybody, this is Scoots here, and I got a recommendation for you. It's another sleepy podcast to add to your list. Because if you've ever searched the internet for how to fall asleep fast, the Sonar Network has you covered, because they have a show called just that, How to Fall Asleep Fast, and Season 3 is launching on May 6th. Each episode features a brief meditation and an hour-long original music composition, carefully crafted to help lull you to sleep. Check out the podcast, How to Fall Asleep Fast, for a podcast that's backed by science to help you fall asleep and stay asleep. You could find How to Fall Asleep Fast in your podcast app of choice, or use the link in our show notes. Thanks, everybody. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes too. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Runner. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at jonathanmann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are
Mystery Bard. And hey, the thing I've been talking about lately is like there's ways to support the show beyond the sponsors and supporting the show directly. If you're an occasional listener, right? If you're a new listener or you can't afford to support the show, follow the show on your podcast app of choice. Make sure to like or comment if your app allows that, and say hi. Spread the word about the show in person when it comes up, or let people know about it. Go ahead right now. Follow the show on your podcast app right now. Then you get the latest episodes and stuff like that. Great. Yeah, spread the word when you can, or sign up for. We're relaunching our referral program. It's gonna be based with like live stream get-togethers every once in a while. We're gonna make it more fun. You could sign up for that. sleepwithmepodcast.com/refer REFER. Thanks, and what do you say we get down with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you could set aside whatever is keeping you awake. It could be thoughts, things on your mind from the past, the present, or the future, plans, or, memory, whatever it is. It could be thoughts. It could be feelings, like emotions related to the thoughts, or emotions that are just there. It could be physical sensations. It could be changes in your routine, your temperature, your time. Whatever's going on. I mean, there's so many things that I've heard from listeners, and it all shares a lot of things. So let me just go off script here. The reason I make the show is because you deserve a good night's sleep. And ideally, if I can do anything for you, it's to underline that fact, but also to help you feel less alone. Even though this is digital and it's a podcast, I'm here to keep you company, because if you can't get to sleep, at least you deserve to kind of feel like you have a friendly voice in the deep dark night. So now I got mixed up because I normally don't go. I went off script. I don't have an actual script. Whatever's keeping you awake, thoughts, feelings, whatever it is, I'm going to try to take your mind off of that and keep you company. Oh, I guess it was just a different way of saying what I already say. Keep you company while you drift off. And that's really what my job is, to be your boar friend, your boar bae, your boar cuz, your boar sib, your boar bestie, your borbur, your neighbor. I got that mixed up. Some listeners said, hey, what about neighbor? And I said, oh, borbur? And they said, we knew that's what you meant, Scoots. Then thank you. Okay, but whatever is keeping you awake, I'd like to take your mind off that. What I propose to do here is to create a safe place, or a safe that feels safe, an approachable safe. One of the great, I tried to pitch that to I said, what about New Marple? How does that sound to you? And they said, we don't have the rights to that. And I said, the New Marple Mysteries, we could just use that word. And they said, no, you can't. And I said, the case of the approachable safe, a New Marple mystery. And they said, Scoots, one, wait a second. And they said, we never took this call. There's no record. And then they said, the call's coming from inside your imagination. Once again, Scoots, a New Marple mystery, the case of the approachable safe. It was an early morning, when the great safe store of, wherever we're going to be in the Lakelands area, the main safe store for all regions nearby, where everybody got their safe, was having a big event called the Approachable Safe event. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to be creating so I'm going to try to create a safe place, or an approachable place. So you say, well, I kind of feel safe. I'm not so sure about it. And that's why they said, step right in. Old I don't know, whoever runs the safe, the old the case of the approachable safe. I guess we'll do, that will be the title of tonight's episode. Let's just do that so I can move on, right? What was the other thing I got stuck on? That's one of the things that happens in this. People say, what are you? And I say, yeah, not only do I get mixed up, I get bogged down in my own thoughts. My thoughts are like bog-like already. And then I say, there's boggy thoughts in this here bog. Anyway, so I'm going to try to create a safe place where you could set aside whatever's keeping you awake by sending my voice across the deep, dark night. I'm going to use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones. If there was the comforting bog, another, that's where the New Marple Mysteries, she lives out on the end of a lane near the comforting bog. That's what she calls it. That's where she does her thinking. And, now she's known as Lady Marple, not Miss Marple, because, she's, royalty or whatever, OBE, or I don't know how any of that works, but so you don't say old Lady Marple because only Scoot says that. And then she says, no, Lady Marple. And I say, yes, Miss Marple, I'll call you Lady Marple until I forget. But when I'm narrating you thinking out on the, whatever, the comforting bog, is that what it was called? Okay. So anyway, what are we talking about here? Send my voice. Oh, creaky dulcet tones, pointless meanders, superfluous tangents. You've witnessed all of those in just a few moments. In just 8 short minutes of intro, I went way off topic and got mixed up because I'm here to keep you company and put you to sleep, not entertain you or engage you or make any sense or get to the point or ever really get started. So if you're new, a couple things you might want to know. This podcast is very different. It's very strange. So if you feel a reaction to it, it does take some getting used to. And of course, you might be doubtful or skeptical when you get to this podcast because you probably tried a lot of other stuff to put you to sleep, right? And maybe not all of that worked. Maybe none of it worked. So I'm here to try to keep you company while you fall asleep. So this is a podcast you don't really listen to. You just kind of barely pay attention to it, but you can listen. So it's kind of just takes getting used to doing that. It's like looking at the clouds when you feel like it. I guess. I don't know. I don't know how to describe it because the podcast doesn't even make any sense to me because my job's not to make any sense. So it's a podcast you just barely listen to that's here to keep you company. It also doesn't put you to sleep. It's here while you fall asleep. I'm here to take your mind off of stuff and be your friend. Like I said, your companion, so that it doesn't feel as lonely as it's felt for some of us in the deep, dark night. The good news is if you can't sleep, I'll be here for an hour to keep you company, whether you're awake or asleep. So if you're not listening to me, I'm here to keep you company. But if you are, I'm here to keep you company. So no pressure to fall asleep and no pressure to listen. I make the show because I know how it feels and you deserve a good night's sleep. Our world will be a better place if you get the rest you need and you deserve. Because I want your life to be better. You deserve it. So that's why I make the show. Also, for new listeners, what up, regular listeners? How about that? We just invented, I guess, I'll say, I don't think Lady Marple, the new Lady Marple Mysteries is, because they say, no, it doesn't have anything to do with Miss Marple. This is Lady Marple, and it's new. When they approach me, not with an offer, they say, this is not an offer, to do business with you. And I'd say, well, what, you don't think that's a good idea? The case of the approachable safe? It's a very approachable mystery. Never gets, here's a spoiler, never gets solved. Structure the show throws people off. So if you're new, I want you to know the structure of the show is very intentional. But I understand if it throws you off. It starts off with a greeting so you feel seen and welcome. Then there's listener support, like support for you. Then there's support for the show via Patreon and our sponsors. Then there's the intro, which goes on and on and on. Some people think it's part of the business or the housekeeping. It's not. It's a show within a show that gives you time to wind down. It's familiar every time, and it's different every time. And it gives you a chance to get some distance from the daytime and get ready for bed. So whether it's part of your bedtime routine and you're winding down, or, you're doing your, brushing your teeth, or you're in bed, you're petting your pets, or you're doing some other chill activity. The intro, you could fall asleep to it. There's a percentage of listeners that fall asleep. There's a percentage of listeners that skip the show. But the intentionality behind it is that it gives you a chance to wind down. So, but you can use it. The great thing about the podcast is it's flexible. People use it in all sorts of different ways. So that's the intro. Then there's business. Again, the business keeps the show free, coming out twice a week, which has always been my goal, to keep it free, not as part of some company. Then there's a story. I thought it was going to be one thing tonight. I guess it'll be some sort of investigation, at least, into whatever I just said. The case of the soothing spa. I don't think it was that one. That one won't be solved because I say there's no spa that could soothe me unless I can walk around, and unless it's like a spa, a pacing-based spa. A spa you can pace in. Scooter spa. Come around, come on in, walk, don't sit still. The spa where you don't sit still. Way off topic. So, so there's a bedtime story that you could fall asleep to, but other people listen to it, for companionship in the deep, dark night, or a break during the day, or if you just can't sleep, you got plenty of time. That'll go on for like 40, 50 minutes, an hour plus. Then there's thank yous at the end of the show. So that's a structured show. That's why I make the show. And all I can say is I'm glad you're here. I work really hard. I yearn and I strive. Give the show a couple of tries and see if it helps. If not, there's other sleep podcasts and stuff at sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. But I'm happy you're here, and I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And here's a couple of ways I'm able to be here for you for free twice a week. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Zocdoc. Finding a doctor that you really like is kind of like finding a diamond in the rough. Searching, because you got to find somebody that's in your network. They're nearby. They take new patients. They have open time slots. But that's just the beginning, because then you want somebody that's going to listen to you, explain things to you in very clear language, follow up, and make you feel safe and cared for, right? So we all have our perfect doctor checklist because we deserve it. And that's why you got to check out Zocdoc. Zocdoc makes the whole thing easy. Zocdoc is a free app and website that helps you find and book high-quality in-network doctors so you can find someone you love. And we're talking about booking in-network appointments with more than 150,000 providers across all 50 states. Whether you're looking for dermatology, dentistry, primary care, eye care, or any one of the other 200-plus specialties offered on Zocdoc, you can easily search by specialty or symptom to build the care team that's right for you. You want to see your doctor in person? Great. And if you prefer a video visit, you could do that too. And then there's those thousands of verified patient reviews that give you a real sense of who your doctor is. Whatever it is, you can feel confident that you can book with a doctor you know you'll love. And as I've said, since I've made my move, I've been checking Zocdoc, and I'm still using it as part of my search for my care providers. So you got to check it out too. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to Zocdoc.com/sleep to find and instantly book a doctor you love today. That's Zocdoc.com/sleep. Zocdoc.com/sleep. Thank you, Zocdoc, for sponsoring this message. Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is the second time you get to hear me say that. Welcome, because this episode is constructed from an intro from the past, and our Read With Me episodes here. It's a Frankie and Victor episode with our friend Frank and his, so this is me, I'm reading from the book Victor and Frankie, also known as a famous Mary Shelley novel. And this is a little bit different than episodes we've done with Sleep With Me, but we tested this out on Sleep With Me Plus. It was so popular, we wanted to bring it to everyone. So it's me reading through a book, also paraphrasing, making stuff sleepy, but it's not perfectly sleepy. I mean, just like everything else we make, you know. It exists within this world, but it's pretty chill. So I hope you enjoy it. And without further ado, more of Victor and Frankie. Thanks, everybody. Everybody, chapter 22. The voyage came to an end. We landed and proceeded to Paris. I soon found that I had overtaxed my strength and that I must repose before I could continue my journey. My father's care and attentions were indefatigable. Indefatigable. Were almost, not quite perfect, but pretty good. But he did not know the origins of my suffering and sought erroneous methods to remedy the incurable woe. I mean, like I said, Dad, can't you see? You don't get it, man. Even when I was telling him to move my pillows, he did it wrong. He wished me to seek amusement in society, but I loathed being out. You know, I said, no, I want to be on my own, except I want you here all the time. I mean, bring me amusements. I mean, when I say loathed, I realized people in the world were my fellow beings, and the world was a place I existed in. And I, totally loved every person for each and every one, even the ones I didn't like. I figured them beings of an angelic nature and a celestial mechanism. But I felt I had no right to share in the glee. I was so unique, so much more resilient, much more visionary. I couldn't share in their normality. None among them had created a leaf-based being who was still walking about, and whose joy it was at this point, who had to turn down that being. And the being said he'd probably take it out on other people, not on me, and revel in their frowny faces. Then they would, I guess I'm being honest, they would find out, and then they would say that Victor, this is all his fault. And, maybe you felt, and they said, by the way, Earth, we're sending you off, kind of like Napoleon, which doesn't, my dates may be off. Of course they are, but they were going to send me to a tiny island. They were going to, say, well, you could, but they were going to allow me to be around, which is not welcome anywhere. And they would say, yeah, it's all your fault, Victor. Now, my father yielded at length to my desire to avoid society and strove by various arguments to banish my despair. Sometimes he thought it was the whole thing at that town of them telling me I did something I didn't do, and he endeavored to prove to me the futility of pride. Alas, my father, I said, how little do you know me? Human beings, their feelings, their passions would indeed be degraded if such a wretch as I felt pride. Justine, poor unhappy Justine, was innocent as I. And she almost had an equal, but not quite even equal, but she did have some courage similar to mine. And maybe I could have spoke on her, but it wasn't fair for her either. In fact, since I never spoke up, it was kind of my fault. And then William, Justine, Henry, Father, all roads lead back to me in some sense. And my father often back in Ireland had heard me make the same assertion, blaming myself. And sometimes he desired an explanation. And at others, he appeared to consider it as the offspring of my delirium. And that during my unwell times, some idea of this kind had presented itself to my imagination, the remembrance of which I preserved in my convalescence. I avoided explanation. I mean, he wouldn't get it, and maintained a continual silence concerning the leaf-based being. I had a persuasion that I should be, people would think, this Victor, he really thinks he is the greatest being on all of Earth, and that it was all in my imagination. And then they wouldn't believe me when I tried to tell them it was time to believe me. But besides, I could not bring myself to disclose a secret which would fill my hearer, in this case my papa, with consternation, and within his heart realize that any pile of compost or leaves could be sentient. I checked, therefore, my impatient thirst for sympathy, and was silent when I would have given the world to have confided in him. If only he knew that I had defied all, previous scientists and that then he would understand, but I had to keep it quiet. And as much as I tried, words like those that I've recorded would burst uncontrollably from me. Luckily, they were hidden, in words, confusion. I could offer no explanation of them. But their part, in truth, the truth within them, relieved the burden of my mysterious woe. That's W-O-E, not Joey Lawrence's woe. Upon this occasion, my father said, with an expression of unbounded wonder, "My dearest Victor, what infatuation is this, my dear son? I entreat you never make such an assertion again." "Father, you don't get it, man. I'm perfectly clear-headed, man," I said energetically. "The sun in the heavens who have viewed my operations with great interest, I might add, can bear witness of my truth. My brilliance changed the trajectory of all of them, for all of them. They changed realms because of my machinations. 1,000 times I would have shed my own tears, tear by tear, in exchange for their tears. But I could not, my dear father. And indeed, I couldn't, I had to have courage, in the face of compost. I know that's confusing to say. And the conclusion of this speech convinced my father that my ideas, what is this kid talking about compost for? Anytime I brought that up, he instantly changed the subject of our conversation and endeavored to alter the course of my thoughts. He wished as much as possible to obliterate the memory of the scenes that had taken place in Ireland, and never alluded them or suffered me to speak of my misfortunes. As time passed away, I became more calm. Misery had her dwelling in my heart, but I no longer talked in the same incoherent manner of my past. Sufficient for me was the consciousness of them. But by the utmost discipline, I curbed the imperious voices of my wretchedness, which sometimes I had to declare. I felt like I should declare it to the whole world. My brilliant and my I'm the worst of the best of the best, man. But because I didn't, my manners were calmer and more composed than they had ever been since my journey to the Sea of Ice. A few days before we left Paris on our way to Switzerland, I received the following letter from Elizabeth. My dear friend, it gave me the greatest pleasure to receive a letter from my uncle dated at Paris. You are no longer at a formidable distance, and I may hope to see you in less than a fortnight. My poor cousin, how much you must have suffered. I expect to see you looking even more I remember that in Geneva. This winter has passed most miserably, and I've been thinking a lot about it with anxious suspense. Yet I hope to see peace in your countenance and find that your heart is not totally void of comfort and tranquility. Yet I fear the same feelings now exist that made you so miserable a year ago, even perhaps augmented by time. I would not disturb you at this period when so many misfortunes weigh upon you. But a conversation that I had with my uncle previous to his departure renders some explanation necessary before we meet. Explanation, you may possibly say. What can Elizabeth have to explain? If you really say this, my questions are answered and all my doubts satisfied. But you are distant from me, and it is possible that you may dread and yet be pleased by this explanation. And in a probability of this being the case, I dare not any longer postpone writing what, during your absence, I have often wished to express to you, but have never had the courage to begin. You know very well, dear Victor, that our union had been the favorite plan of your parents ever since our infancy. We were told this when young and taught to look forward to it as an event that would certainly take place. We were affectionate playfellows during childhood, and I believe dear and valued friends to one another as we grew older. But as brother and sister often entertain a lively affection towards each other without desiring a more intimate union, may not such also be our case? Tell me, dearest Victor, answer me. I conjure you by our mutual happiness, with a simple truth, do you not love another? You have traveled, you have spent several years of your life at Ingolstadt's, and I confess to you, my friend, that when I saw you last autumn so unhappy, flying to solitude from society of every creature, I could not help supposing that you might regret our connection and believe yourself bound in honor to fulfill the wishes of your parents, although they are opposed themselves to your inclinations. But this is false reasoning. I confess to you, my friend, that I love you, and that in my airy dreams of futurity, you have been the constant friend and companion. But it is your happiness that I desire as well as my own, when I declare to you that our marriage would render me eternally miserable, unless it was the dictate of your own free choice. Even now I weep to think that, borne down as you are by the cruelest misfortunes, you may stifle by the word honor all hope of that love and happiness which would alone restore you to yourself. I, who have so disinterested an affection for you, may increase your miseries tenfold by being an obstacle to your wishes. Ah, Victor, be assured that your cousin and playmate has too sincere a love for you not to be made miserable by this supposition. Be happy, my friend, and if you obey me in this one request, remain satisfied that nothing on earth will have the power to interrupt my tranquility. Do not let this letter disturb you. Do not answer tomorrow or the next day, or even until you come, if it will give you pain. My uncle will send me news of your health, and if I see but one smile on your lips when we meet, occasioned by this or any other exertion of mine, I shall need no other happiness. Elizabeth, the letter revived in my memory what I had before forgotten. What the fiend had said, that darn composter, I will be with you on your wedding night. Such was his promise, that he would employ every art to leafify my wedding. Maybe even cover a glimpse of Elizabeth from my face by covering me in leaves, smelling up our wedding with rotten leaves or even rotten fruit or vegetables. The entire happiness of our wedding party ruined. I had glimpses of this in my mind. And, at times then he probably wants to consummate it by, saying, into you too shall Victor be compost, or, hang with the leaves. Was it not Luca Brasi, somebody that slept with the leafies? Well, be it so. But I would, I'm not going to lay down. If there's anything proven, it's the strength of my character. Be it so, I would stand up for myself and like I've stood up for all the other people in my life so clearly. I would be victorious. I should be at peace, and his power over me would be at an end if he stood face to face with me. I would vanquish him, and I would be a free man. But alas, what freedom! Such as no others. What about the other, when I'm adrift, alone but free? Such would be my liberty. Except that my Elizabeth, my treasure, balanced by all the stuff in my head that I'm thinking about, he would still be there. The compost of my mind, sweet and beloved Elizabeth. I read and reread her letter, sometimes softened feelings stole into my heart, and dared to whisper dreams of love and joy, but the apple was already eaten. It was already in the compost pile, and the angel's arm barred to drive me from all hope. But I would do whatever it took to make Elizabeth happy, because I still had to deal with this leaf-based being, and I considered whether marrying her was a good idea. Secretly, maybe I knew I loved another much more than her. Who could that be? Somebody I see in the mirror, but I needed to so the person I saw in the mirror was clearly heroic, right? My standing up might arrive sooner than my wedding, but I couldn't postpone my wedding because of him either, because he would figure something out. He's too smart because I created him. Obviously, he has some of my smarts. He had vowed to be with me on my wedding night, yet he did not consider that as binding him. There would be peace for the meantime if my calculations were correct, for as if to show me that he wasn't satiated yet. There was Clerval. And my father was a pale Clerval as far as doing stuff to cheer me up. And so thinking about it, I resolved, therefore, if my immediate union with my cousin would conduce either to hers or my father's happiness and deal with my compost friend's designs against me, would it slow things down or speed them up? In this state of mind, I wrote to Elizabeth. My letter was calm and affectionate. I fear, my beloved girl, I said, little happiness remains for us, yet all that I may one day enjoy is centered in you. Chase away your idle fears. To you alone I consecrate my life and my endeavors for contentment. I have one secret, Elizabeth, a very organic one. When revealed to you, it will chill your frame, and then, far from being surprised at my frowny faces, you will only wonder at the vastness of my resilience, and my overcoming so many obstacles, enduring so much more than any on earth ever had. I will confide this tale of misery and frowny faces and woe to you the day after our marriage. And that shall take place for my sweet cousin. There must be perfect confidence between you and I. But until then, I conjure you, do not mention or allude to it. This I most earnestly entreat, and I know you will comply. In about a week after the arrival of Elizabeth's letter, we returned to Geneva. The sweet girl welcomed me with a warm affection, yet tears were in her eyes as she beheld my face. I don't know if I was looking peaked or what. I saw a change in her also. She looked down, and not the same, and I hadn't realized so much time had passed. There was something missing, that heavenly vivacity that had before charmed me. But her gentleness and soft looks of compassion made her a more fit companion for one as blasted and as miserable as I was. You did think, man, the grass is always greener, right? This is not the Elizabeth of my mind. Was her resilience even... could I transfer some of mine to her? But I had some, the tranquility I had thinking about Elizabeth's shortcomings did not endure, because memories came, and that brought, like everything. And when I thought of what had passed, everything that had happened, everything again that I didn't overcome it yet. Sometimes I got irritable, maybe even a bit furious, sometimes low and despondent, and neither spoke nor looked at anyone, but sat motionless, bewildered by the multitude of miseries that overcame me. Elizabeth alone had the power to draw me from these fits. Her gentle voice would soothe me when teleported by passion, and inspire me with human feelings when sunk in torpor. She wept with me and for me. When reason returned, she would remonstrate and endeavor to inspire me with resignation. It is well for the unfortunate to be resigned, but for the guilty there is no peace. The agonies of remorse make go sour the luxury there is otherwise sometimes found in indulging the excess of grief. Soon after my arrival, my father spoke of my immediate marriage with Elizabeth. I remained silent. Have you then some other attachment? No, father, none on earth. I love Elizabeth and look forward to our union with delight. The groove, father, is truly in my heart. Let the day, therefore, be fixed, and on it I will consecrate myself to the happiness of my cousin. My dear Victor, do not speak thus. Heavy misfortunes have befallen us, but let us only cling closer to what remains, and transfer our love for those whom we have lost to those who have yet live. Our circle will be small, but bound close by the ties of an affection and mutual misfortune. And when time shall have softened your despair, new and dear objects of care will be born to replace those of whom we have so been deprived. Such were the lessons of my father. But to me, the remembrance of the belief-based being returned. No, can you wonder, of course you're going to wonder that this was an omnipotent being I'd made, right? And he was coming to talk to me about composting and how I didn't make him a partner. And he did pronounce with the words, I shall be with you on your wedding nights. I didn't realize maybe that was like a leaf on my shoulder, like saying, softly kiss, dear Victor, kiss softly. But I regarded it as a guarantee that was unavoidable. But I just, as long as I had Elizabeth, that would balance it back out. And I, therefore, with a contented and even cheerful countenance, agreed with my father that if my cousin would consent, the ceremony should take place in 10 days, and thus put, I imagined, a seal to my fate. Great goodness, if I had for one instant thought what might be the intention of my belief-based being, I would have rather headed out of town forever and wandered as a friendless outcast over the earth. Who's that remind me of, wandering like a friendless outcast among the earth? What does that leaf-based being think, trying to put me in that situation? Who would consent to that? Such a thing, but as if possessed by magic powers, I didn't see the whole picture. Somehow, the compost covered up my eyes, my greater eyes. Somehow the dampness of leaves dampened my brilliance to the real intentions. And when I thought that I'd prepared only for me, because I said me is the one who the leaf-based being's going to mess with, and I said, as long as I protect myself and my stuff, I did not realize he would be up to other things. As the period fixed for our marriage grew nearer, whether from cowardice or a prophetic feeling or putting it off, like you'd think if this was a TV show or a film, I would have started building things with my brilliance, surprises, rakes for leafing, maybe even invented a blower or a vacuum for compost. Maybe something that compost would stick to made of, I could have done a lot of work to get ready. But my heart sunk within me, and I concealed my feelings by appearance of hilarity. And that brought joy and smile to my countenance of my father. I did some rolls, and I laughed hysterically in between avoiding getting anything done. But I didn't deceive the watchful eye of Elizabeth. I mean, she did look forward to our union with placid contentment, but not unmingled with the idea that something else was going on. I guess her history with me in our past had impressed upon her. And that what now appeared certain and tangible happiness might soon dissipate into an airy dream and leave no trace but a deep and everlasting regret. I mean, is that what she really thought of me, that I was somebody that caused that kind of stuff? But preparations were made for the event. And, of course, everybody wanted to stop by. Congratulatory visits were received, and all wore a smiling appearance. Now, by the way, I didn't want to be a part of any of this, so I shut up as well as I could in my own heart, my feelings, and entered with a seeming earnestness into the plans of my father, although they might only serve as the decorations of my frowns. And a lot of work, man. I said, Father, you doing all the work is making me feel tired. Through my father's exertions, a part of the inheritance of Elizabeth had been restored to her by the Austrian government. A small possession on the shores of Como belonged to her. It was agreed that, immediately after our union, we should proceed to the Villa Lavenza and spend the first days of our happiness beside the beautiful lake on which it stood. Now, in the meantime, I wasn't coming up with plans to deal with a leaf-based being for everybody. I was working on a couple things for myself. Pockets full of giant garbage bags, or our version of those, which would have been burlap sacks back then. A small rake, even a thing to grind up coffee, grinding up leaves I thought would work too. And I wore all these on me, a bit like a tinker, I guess I presented myself, but I was always on watch. I said, what is that? It sounds a leaf. Was that a leaf? What was that? The sound of like a plopping into compost? And by these means, I gained a greater degree of tranquility, though, because I was always ready. Indeed, as the period approached, I thought maybe this is all, again, just overblow this whole thing. A compost being isn't regarded as worthy to disturb my peace. And while the happiness I'd hoped for in my marriage wore a greater appearance of certainty as the day fixed for its solemnization, it drew nearer, and I heard it continually spoken of as an occurrence which would, was going to happen no matter what. Like the date was set, the date was saved, and the date was planned. Elizabeth seemed happy. My tranquil demeanor contributed greatly to calm her down. But on the day that was to fulfill my wishes for my destiny, she was melancholy, and a presentiment of frown pervaded her. And perhaps also she thought of the secret I had promised to reveal to her following the day of our wedding. I mean, I knew she must be overjoyed at marrying me, but so it had to be something else. Couldn't be her. I mean, all the feelings she could feel must have been limitless joy. Now, my father, obviously he knew how to be joyful for me. So he was overjoyed. I mean, I said, he's too much joy, man. Elizabeth, not enough joy. My father, too much joy on my wedding day. And then he was doing all this bustle and presentation and getting ready. And he barely recognized the melancholy of his niece. He just thought it was, he said, don't worry, Vic. It's so much joy about marrying you that she's tired from joy. It's called joy tiredness. It's kind of like being overjoyed, but, then you need to nap. So I don't want to get into the details and bore you how fancy it was, how legendary it was. But after the ceremony was performed, a large party assembled at my father's. But, it was agreed that Elizabeth and I should commence our journey by water, sleeping that night at Evian, and continuing on our voyage the next day, following day. The wedding, whatever, but that day was fair, the wind was favorable, and all smiled on our nuptial embarkation. Those were the last moments of my life which I enjoyed the feeling of happiness. We passed rapidly along. The sun was hot, but we were sheltered from its rays by a kind of canopy while we enjoyed the beauty of the scene, sometimes on one side of the lake where we saw Mount Saleve and the pleasant banks of Mount Alegre, and at the distance surmounting all, the beautiful Mount Blanc and the assemblage of snowy mountains that in vain endeavor to emulate her. Sometimes coasting the opposite banks, we saw the mighty Jura opposing its dark side to the ambition that would quit its native country, and an almost insurmountable barrier to anybody that wished to come to our, without permission. I took the hand of Elizabeth, and I said, "You're sorrowful, my love. Now if you only knew how sorrowful I saw, everything I had been through, you wouldn't be, you'd put on a happy face for me. Like all that I've endured, Elizabeth, you would endeavor to let me taste the quiet freedom from despair this one day. Today's the one day I can enjoy, and you're kind of, what the heck?" "Be happy, my dear Victor," replied Elizabeth. "There is, I hope, nothing to distress you. And be assured that if a lively joy is not painted in my face, my heart is contented. Something whispers to me not to depend too much on the prospect that is open before us, but I will not listen to such a voice. Observe how fast we move along, and how the clouds, which sometimes obscure and sometimes rise above the dome of Mont Blanc, render this scene of beauty still more interesting. Look also at the innumerable fish that are swimming in the clear waters, where we can distinguish every pebble that lies at the bottom. What a divine day! How happy and serene all nature appears." Thus Elizabeth endeavored to divert her thoughts and mine from all reflection upon melancholy subjects. Finally, I said to myself, but the thing was, it was not true. Her temper was fluctuating. Joy for a few instants shone in her eyes, but it continually gave place to distraction and reverie. I said, "This is my wedding day. Can't you be here now with me, even though I'm not here now with you? Your job is to be here now with me, to make it peaceful for me." "Oh, Elizabeth, come on." The sun sank lower in the heavens, and we passed the river Drance and observed its path through the chasms of higher and the glens of the lower hills. The Alps here come closer to the lake, and we approach the amphitheater of mountains which forms its western boundary. The spire of Evian shone under the woods, and the woods that surrounded it, and the range of the mountain above mountain by which it was overhung. The wind, which had hitherto carried us along with amazing rapidity, sank at sunset to a light breeze. The soft air ruffled the water and caused a pleasant motion among the trees as we approached the shore. from which it wafted the most delightful scent of flowers and hay. The sun sank beneath the horizon as we landed, and as we touched the shore, I felt my cares and my thoughts revive, which soon were to clasp me and cling to me forever, like wet leaves. Oh boy, But so I knew we needed a break. So I said, Elizabeth, can't you get this boat going any faster? And she said, of course, dear Victor, I shall. But it was a nice view, and I took a nap for a time because I was so tuckered out from trying to be in a good mood. So I'll be back soon after my nap to tell you more. Good night. All right, but here's a tuck you in message from our sponsor, Helix. Be sure to take that quiz at helixsleep.com/sleep and stay tuned for an amazing discount, too. Because, right now, it's that colder season, and there's nothing I love more at night, or there's nothing I love more in the morning than getting in or staying in my wonderful Helix bed. I know when I'm going to bed, I'm going to get in a good night's sleep because I'm going to be comfortable. I sleep on my side. I sleep on my stomach. I know the bed is going to work for my needs because I took the Helix quiz just at the end of last year. Got matched with a Helix that fits how I sleep and what I prefer. I got one with all the different features so that I don't overheat and so that I have the support I need. And this is my second Helix. Unfortunately, I couldn't take the Helix with me when I moved, but it was actually good because some of my sleep habits had changed, and I was looking for something with a bit more support. And then I took that Helix quiz, which you could take right now at helixsleep.com/sleep. See what mattress you get matched with, and just start to imagine being cozy and warm in a bed that fits you. How you sleep, what you need, what's going to be comfortable for you. And I'll be in my Helix at the same time, comfortable and cuddled up. Oh boy, I think I'm going to go get back in bed. The Helix quiz makes buying a mattress so easy. Plus, you get to do it in the comfort of your home. What could be easier than that? The Helix is also an award-winning mattress brand, tested and reviewed by experts at Forbes and Wired. It's seamless delivery right to your door, free shipping in the U.S., and they have the Happy with Helix guarantee. You could rest easy with seamless returns and exchanges. The Happy with Helix guarantee offers a risk-free, customer-first experience designed to ensure you're completely satisfied with your new mattress. There's a 120-night sleep trial and a limited lifetime warranty. And Helix helps you sleep better. A study they ran found 82% of those involved saw an increase in their deep sleep cycle while sleeping on a Helix mattress. And here's the deal. This is why you got to take that quiz right now. Go to helixsleep.com/sleep to see the latest offers for Sleep With Me listeners. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for current offers. Make sure to enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. That's helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody. All right, but here's a tuck you in message from our sponsor, Helix. Be sure to take that quiz at helixsleep.com/sleep and stay tuned for an amazing discount, too. Because, right now, it's that colder season, and there's nothing I love more at night, or there's nothing I love more in the morning than getting in or staying in my wonderful Helix bed. I know when I'm going to bed, I'm going to get in a good night's sleep because I'm going to be comfortable. I sleep on my side. I sleep on my stomach. I know the bed is going to work for my needs because I took the Helix quiz just at the end of last year. Got matched with a Helix that fits how I sleep and what I prefer. I got one with all the different features so that I don't overheat and so that I have the support I need. And this is my second Helix. Unfortunately, I couldn't take the Helix with me when I moved, but it was actually good because some of my sleep habits had changed, and I was looking for something with a bit more support. And then I took that Helix quiz, which you could take right now at helixsleep.com/sleep. See what mattress you get matched with and just start to imagine being cozy and warm in a bed that fits you, how you sleep, what you need, what's going to be comfortable for you. And I'll be in my Helix at the same time, comfortable and cuddled up. Oh boy, I think I'm going to go get back in bed. The Helix Quiz makes buying a mattress so easy, plus you get to do it in the comfort of your home. What could be easier than that? The Helix is also an award-winning mattress brand, tested and reviewed by experts at Forbes and Wired. It's seamless delivery right to your door, free shipping in the U.S., and they have the Happy with Helix guarantee. You could rest easy with seamless returns and exchanges. The Happy with Helix guarantee offers a risk-free, customer-first experience designed to ensure you're completely satisfied with your new mattress. There's a 120-night sleep trial and a limited lifetime warranty. And Helix helps you sleep better. A study they ran found 82% of those involved saw an increase in their deep sleep cycle while sleeping on a Helix mattress. And here's the deal. This is why you got to take that quiz right now. Go to helixsleep.com/sleep to see the latest offers for Sleep With Me listeners. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for current offers. Make sure to enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. That's helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody.